Shayna Hubers' defense team is trying to get her out of prison early, potentially very early. Last week, she was convicted of murdering her boyfriend, Ryan Poston, with the jury recommending 40 years in prison.
But now Hubers' lawyers are claiming that she had been the victim of domestic violence or abuse, making her eligible for parole much earlier. Local 12's Jeff Hirsch covered the Hubers trial. He joins us now live from the newsroom with exclusive new information. Jeff.
Well, good evening. Under Kentucky law, someone convicted of murder is labeled a violent offender with specific rules for when they could become eligible for parole. But Hubers' defense team is asking Judge Fred Stein to declare Hubers a domestic violence victim, which cancels the violent offender designation and moves parole eligibility up by more than a decade.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Shayna Hubers, guilty of murder under instruction number 3.
40 years sounds like a tough sentence, and it is if you serve all 40. But in Kentucky, inmates are eligible for parole hearings a lot earlier than 40 years, 50 years, or even life. The jury rejected Shayna Hubers' claim of self-defense.
I shot him probably 6 times. Shot him in the head. He fell onto the ground. He was like laying like this.
But now Hubers' lawyers have filed a claim that during Hubers' relationship with Ryan Poston, she was once a victim of domestic violence and abuse. If that's true, using Kentucky's complicated parole eligibility formula, Shayna Hubers would be eligible in just 8 years out of a 40-year sentence. Knock off 2.5 years for time served, and you're potentially looking at as few as 5.5 years in prison and then out. The defense says Hubers and Poston were living together or had lived together, which is necessary for domestic violence. The prosecution disagreed with both violence and the living arrangement. That's why Ryan Poston's father was called to testify that some personal grooming products found in Ryan's bathroom were Ryan's, not Shayna's. The only light moment in an otherwise serious trial.
What's in that sink?
It's like a flat iron for your hair.
Okay. Whose is that?
It's my son's.
Okay. Why did he use it?
I think just to kind of get his hair to stick up straight sometimes. There was apricot scrub. I see powders. I see deodorant. I said, you would think I had a daughter. So, yes, I would joke with him quite often about it.
Plus, Shayna Hubers' own statement the night of the shooting will likely not help her in this particular motion.
And your address was up there? Is that where you get your mail at and stuff? For school?
I don't live with him.
Okay.
If Judge Fred Stein rejects the request from the defense for domestic violence designation, parole eligibility would be at 17.5 years, not 5.5, both including credit for time already served. Of course, parole eligibility does not mean parole is granted. It just means the chance to talk to the parole board. Commonwealth's attorney Michelle Snodgrass points out it is normal for a defense team to request something like this, and her office will respond soon. Back to you.
All right, Jeff, thank you. And Judge Fred Stein will sentence Hubers on June 2nd. He can accept the jury's recommendation of 40 years. He can go lower or he can go higher. The judge will decide sometime before then whether to accept the defense request for a domestic violence hearing.